Welcome back to the Raptors 905 podcast. I'm Savannah Hamilton, of course, alongside with Charles Kissy. Charles, who do we got today? You know him from a while ago, so you introduce him.
We got Patrick Mutombo, head coach of the 905. Long time in the making, trying to get him on for a while. He's a busy man, painting, being a father, being a husband, all these different amazing things, and we're excited to have him today.
Joining us now is the head coach of the Raptors 905, Patrick Mutombo. Patrick, how are you doing, coach?
Hi, Savannah. How are you? I'm doing well. Excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you on. And it's just not every day we get to have you on the show. So no, it's been a long time coming. But I understand that you and Charles Kissy already have sort of a relationship before this. So I'm gonna let Kissy kick it off.
Well, Pat is anyone who for those who don't know Coach Mutombo, he is a funny, caring, charismatic, deep, really deep. Let's just say he's got texture. He's not. That's a new one. I'm breaking that one out for you. He's got texture.
I like it.
And depth. And really great human being. So I'm excited to do this and to have you here today. So let's start with.
Well, hey, thank you. And let you say that and just let that, hey, listen, can we get you to record that? And then, for one, I'm going to play it back to my wife. I'll put it on repeat as she sleeps. And then probably play to our players also.
Yeah.
No, thank you for these kind words, man. I'm so excited to be here with everybody.
So how are you? How's the summer been? How you been doing? Talk to us.
Man, I'm doing well. I was telling you, we just got back into Canada last night. Went to, had to go through the COVID stuff and had to get the paperwork done. And I had my crew with me. So I had 5 people, my 4 kids and my wife. Got home, went to bed at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh boy.
And then woke up this morning. Our cars are not here yet, but I had to go grocery shopping before the call. So because I thought about it when you talked about scrambling. Man, I've been scrambling. It's good to be back. The kids are back. The kids are excited. We're excited to be in Canada, Toronto. So the summer's been good, man. Summer's been good.
And that's the life of a coach, right? I mean, you're not obviously from Toronto originally, and you've had to move around. What's that like? What's it like, sort of? And you're not dragging your family. Obviously, they're supportive, and your kids are lovely. What is that like? How do you manage that?
Well, depending on days, the dragging the family sounds very appropriate, especially if you talk to different people. But it's been, yeah. I always tell our coaches this, especially young coaches. I say, listen. An advice I was given when I first started coaching was get yourself a duffel bag, put it in your living room, get to a spot, get to work, but never forget that the life of a coach is the life of a nomad. And that's what life is about. I'm very fortunate that I have a wife who understands it. She's an African like me, but as you know, Charles, man, we move. We move for better opportunities. We move for opportunities. We move.
That's right.
For no reason. We move. So we're accustomed to it. The kids, that's all they've known their whole life. And it's just, we're pretty mobile. We just understand that that's part of what we do. That's part of our family. That's part of what we were called to. So,
I'm kind of curious because, let's touch a bit about your heritage. And you mentioned that, you're from Africa, specifically the Congo, and which is incredible to itself. But, having kids born and raised, I assume, North America, how do you keep them in touch with their roots? How do you let them know their heritage and pass that on as you're also coaching and wearing multiple hats at the same time?
That's a very good question, and it's an important thing for us to do because ultimately what we understand is, hey, this is who we are. We were born. Both my wife and I were born in the DRC. By the grace of God, I've gotten to live in Europe. Africa, now North America. And our children, for example, our children all have African names. For us, it's very important that wherever they are, they never forget that ultimately that's our root. Ultimately, that's where we are called to. That's who we're representing all over the world. So in our house, obviously, we are very intentional about reminding our kids about our culture and how it's maybe different from some of the things they're encountering outside the home. We try to really emphasize on the good things about our culture because I think it's a separator in the world where it's about competition, knowing what your advantages are. So we're very intentional about that, and we talk about it very often. And now that they're old enough, we need to start taking them back to the homeland so they can touch and connected with that part of the world because that's their heritage.
I love that. I love hearing that, Charles.
Yeah, I mean,
these jokers eat African food. They do all this. They know.
I was gonna say. I was gonna ask you that.
No, we don't play that.
So who's cooking in your house?
Mama cooks.
Mama cooks. Okay, so Mama cooks in your house.
Listen, it's
so
not because I don't want to, Charles. The times where I've cooked when I was a professional basketball player, I would cook after practice, pray for the food, bless it, test it, and just go and eat out.
So it's a mixture of like you can't really.
Yeah. And the prayer didn't help. The prayer didn't help. I can't cook to save my life. I'm fortunate. My wife really cooks well, and she hooks us up with a lot of African food. So
nice. And so there's no, because you guys travel a lot, you're in different cities. There's no. First of all, that's probably good because it's grounded. It's something consistent for your kids, right? And you're in different places. But there's no competition. You haven't found like the McDonald's is creeping in, or you know what I mean, like in terms of wanting something different or having their, seeing their friends eat something. You know what I'm talking about? Like I know when I was young,
yeah, absolutely,
it was kind of a little bit like that for us.
No, absolutely. So here's the kicker. So my wife, I'm very blessed. Listen, I mean this because my wife really shares a cooking show, Blue Fufu. Shout out to her.
Wow.
Okay.
She's really into cooking. So she cooks European dishes, African dishes, North American. So there's a plethora of dishes she makes for us. So kids are accustomed to all sorts of food. When we travel and go see my parents in Europe, they're used to that. And then we come here. And so there's it's not exclusively African food. Maybe for me, more so, because that's all I mess with.
Right.
But for the kids, man, their palate is accustomed to all sorts of food.
You guys are eating good in the Mutombo house.
Oh, no, we do. Savannah, we do.
Yeah, you almost try to downplay that until you threw in your wife's basically a chef.
Right? On a show. Has a show.
Yes.
No big deal.
Nothing. No.
I'm fortunate. I can't hide that blessing.
It's amazing. But, I want to actually get into a hobby that you like. And, your wife might be the chef, but you kind of have your own creative field. And that's painting. That's art, which is incredible. And I've seen some of your work, actually. And I think it's absolutely beautiful. How did you get into the style that your artwork is? Because it's not exactly like realism. It's more, how would you describe your own work, actually, first of all?
Oh man, that's another good question, Savannah. Because I'll answer the first part. The way I look at it, I always tell people, this is part of who I am. I don't. That's the lenses through which I look at life. Ever since I was a kid, I drew. I wasn't that serious about painting. I really started to paint in 2008 in Greece. But other than that, just throughout my life, that's kind of been my approach to life, my approach to things. And to describe my style, I'll say I'm still somebody who's experimenting. I feel that whatever I decide to create is a result of how I see life. So I do abstract, I do figuratives. I also sculpt when I have time. I used to make furniture out of tree trunks.
Oh, no
That
way.
kind of
Wow.
stuff. This is just part of who I am. It's just that coaching is at the forefront right now.
That's
But thank
amazing.
you. Mhm.
No, as a visual artist myself, like I studied art and I took it all the way up until
Oh, really?
university. Really, yeah, oh yeah. I should. We'll exchange some like painting notes sometimes and stuff like that. But I gotta
We
show you.
need to.
Yeah, no, I gotta show you some stuff. But I really appreciate hearing that, and it is. I feel like as an artist, like such an evolving process too. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. I've toyed with the idea of going to school and getting a formal education.
oh,
It's just
amazing.
that my time between family, work, I just couldn't carve out enough time to die. But eventually, this is definitely something that I take serious enough to go to school and learn in a more formal way.
Well, the profs could be learning from you because your work has been even like exhibited before.
You're too kind. You're too kind. Thank you, Savannah.
I'm still waiting on a piece there, Coach, by the way. But
Oh no, we got you, man. We got you, Charles.
I still waiting on a piece. I want to know how, and I think it's important to share this because I know this about you, and I think the balance. How important is it to have that something else? Because you know how this world is. We get so immersed in the coaching, and you're in it, and it's like that's the whole world. And then you may sometimes carve out a little time for your family,
Yeah.
even. But how important is it to have that passion, that extra outside outlet that's not basketball?
Charles, man, the word balance has always scared me because I've never been able to achieve it. I didn't achieve it when I played. I don't think I'm achieving it as a coach. And sometimes I wonder if it's possible. One thing that I do know is I cheat a lot, meaning, there's times where, it's work. And by doing that, there's some things I say no to, and sometimes it's family.
Yep.
Because I gotta prepare for a scout and I gotta delve into something, or I gotta pick up this call, while we're at dinner, that kind of stuff. But then there's times where it's the family first. Uh, you know, this may have to wait. This thing for work will have to wait until everybody goes to sleep. And then in between there, that's why I think the importance of creativity and being resourceful comes into play. That's how I came up with the system of, hey, when I travel, I have my mini studio with me. I have my paints. I have my tarp, so I don't mess up the hotel room. That kind of stuff. It's just because, well, I'm not cheating my family then because they're away from me. And so I had to become creative on how I do things. And hey, I've watched game film with my sons. That's another way of doing things and help. Maybe my wife helping me with some projects. It doesn't happen very often.
Hey, she's busy keeping you fed. Okay, that's a major responsibility.
Man, and taking care of these kids, making sure I come home to kids are well behaved and know how to know what the expectation, what our standard is. So yeah, it's not easy, but I think resourcefulness is important, and it really helps juggling those different things, which they are not a burden. They are blessings that we just need to know how to manipulate.
I was just gonna say, like, when you are blessed to be in the position that you are, because not everybody, believe it or not, gets to be, a G League head coach or an NBA coach at some levels. It comes with a bit of a sacrifice, and that is a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
And that lifestyle change is exactly what you're describing. So, I mean, it's like take the good with the bad almost, but I think overall, like, it's amazing what you can accomplish still as a coach, but then also with your family when you do have time.
Yes. It's not. You said it. You said it perfectly. It's not easy, but man, it's gratifying. It's fulfilling. It's exciting, and it's rich.
Absolutely.
So, Pat, you have done, or sorry, Coach, you have done.
You can call me Pat. You can call me Pat.
I know I can call you Pat, but
my father named me Patrick. So you're fine. He didn't name me Coach.
I always say to people, it's what I do. It's not who I am, you know? So
Right.
I'm with you on that. But I want to talk about your professional career, because you played, scouted, you're now a head coach. Take us through that journey. What's that been like? And how did you know, at what point were you like, I'm going to coach? This is what I want to do.
Wow. Well, so how did I know I wanted to coach? First of all, when I, as I was playing, I kept getting hurt. It was frustrating. And it's funny because, you don't like it at the time, but you know what that did for me, Charles? I was constantly working my way back into something.
Right.
And I played overseas, and overseas you didn't have 15 coaches and coaches on the clock for you and come and shoot. So a lot of things I had to do myself. So I was building without knowing it, creativity on drills and different things. I talked about resourcefulness. When you by yourself in a gym with maybe just a 17-year-old who's willing to come and rebound for you, and you got to get yourself in shape, because you better be in shape when you come back if you want to keep your job. You find ways to survive. And lo and behold, all those skills end up applying to when I converted to coaching.
Right.
I decided to get into coaching when I was in the G League as a player. Again, I got hurt, and our head coach at the time, Will Voigt, who coached me in college also, was kind enough to invite me into their coaches' meetings. And I saw the prep that went into it. And I was still young enough to spend time with the younger players. And then I had that invitation from coach, and it just felt natural as I was hurt, just talking to the guys, because I was already coaching away from the game, because, I came from Europe. I was in the G League. A lot of these guys were younger than me. And I would find 7-6 guys in my room, and just they wanted to talk about life. And
you probably still find that now. Like, anyone gets a chance, talk to Pat, ask him one question about life, and you will come out enlightened.
People don't know. People haven't found out about me yet. They don't know that I don't know what I'm talking about, Charles. Don't get my secret out there. So, and Charles, man, and that's how. And I had a heart for this young man, and I felt that I could really help. I could really impact lives. I can really add value to their experience and take them to a place that maybe couldn't get to on their own. And the only thing I knew how to do was coach basketball. So that's how I got that. That's how I got started. I had this love for players and wanting to help them off the court, and then on the court. That's how I started. George Carr hired me. I started as a player development coach in Denver. I'm thankful. George Carr, Masai, went from there, man, and the rest is history.
Now you're humble. You're humble. You're wise and you're humble. Because you casually mention that your college coach brought you into the coaching room in the G League and everything, but you had quite the career in college at Metro State anyway. Go into that. Dive right into that. This is Mutombo as a player.
Oh man, I went to Metro State from Belgium. I really wanted to play professional basketball, and in Europe it was. I came from an educated family. My parents were all about school. My dad, was wanted me to go into university and do a PhD and all these things and do a doctorate like him. And I wasn't trying to go back to school. And I was trying to hoop. I was just trying to hoop. So, and America gave me that opportunity where I could both go to school, get a degree, and play and explore basketball. So I went to Metro State. I ended up being quite successful there.
Go into it, Coach. Go into it. Let's hear it. This is the place. No humble allowed. This is the
place. I had a decent career. Won 2 national titles.
Woo!
That's
all. That's it. Oh,
that's not it.
I'll let you guys do that. I used to tell my players this: let the mouth of another praise you. Don't praise yourself. So that's in the past. We'll celebrate when I'm all done. But all I can take from there is Mike Dunlap, shout out to him, who's my head coach, ended up being the head coach for the Charlotte Bobcats at the time. Got fired after 1 year, but now he's an assistant, just won a title with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yes.
He taught me a lot about he basically helped me at the time, 19. He ushered me into adulthood, took from where my parents left off into what I needed to be successful in different facets of life.
I love that. I love that. And yeah, you got a number of individual accolades as well. And I'll spare you this time, coach, this time. But
You're the best. You're the best. I owe you. I owe you, Savannah.
Okay, I'll take you up on that in season. When season comes, I'll be like, hey, coach, remember that time? No, but I actually want to talk a little bit because you touched on, Masai in Denver. So I don't think enough people know about your relationship with Masai and how that worked out from Denver to the Raptors organization now.
Yeah, Masai for me as an African, he's a monument. He's a living monument. What it represents for us is beyond words. And you talk about humility. You talk about a person who's dedicated to service, a person who's selfless. It's incredible. I look at that guy every day and I'm uncomfortable about my life because I look at how hard he works. I look at the energy. I look at how fierce he is. And then I look at the legacy he already has, and being able to have a relationship with him, somebody that I can call, somebody that I can ask advice to. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. People talk about being rich in life. Well, to me, I have a coach who once told me, "Hey, true wealth is not it's not about money. It's about the people you have in your life."
Mm-hmm.
And having that guy for me, as a guy that I can call a brother, a mentor, it's unbelievable.
How did you guys first meet?
Well, in Denver, I called. I said, "Listen, I'm looking for a job. Can I speak with Masai?" I spoke with somebody at the office at the time, and I didn't know Masai. I just went online and read everything about him, and he was kind enough after George Carr saw me work and interviewed me, and he liked me enough to I fooled him, so he liked me enough to offer me a job. And then I had to clear with Masai. Masai, took some time with me, and that was the first time I met with him. It was unbelievable. Caring, wanted to help, was thorough. I didn't get a pass, but then he was kind enough to give me the opportunity to get started in the NBA because he blocks that. Who knows? Maybe I never make it into the NBA. So I'm forever grateful to him. Our relationship went from there.
It's incredible because I would like to think that you would have made it some way somehow. I think if I'm a firm believer, if it's meant to be, it will be.
Yeah.
But of course, there's always that hand that needs to be pulling other people up, right? And letting them and giving them that opportunity. So I'm glad to hear. I'm not surprised Masai Ujiri was that for you, because of all the incredible work that he's done. And we could talk all day about Masai, but it's not about him. It's about you. So I'm going to redirect it to you, Charles.
And I was going to ask a question about mentors. Like, they've been so important and you talk about them, a lot. And you're always one to you've done it already. Give praise to those who have supported you and helped you. How do you incorporate that? And I know the answer to this, but in your coaching and in your world, how important is that? How much of a focus is that in terms of how you do your job as a coach? Well, obviously as a father, that's a no-brainer. And as a partner, that's a no-brainer. But talk about that in your coaching.
Well, Charles, it's extremely important. Mentorship is extremely important because to me, you almost reflect your mentors. You reflect your mentors in your leadership style. And I was fortunate enough that a lot of my mentors actually are not in the basketball world. They're CEOs and they run different businesses. And these are the guys I go and consult with as far as leadership. How do you lead? This is a question I ask my mentors. and from those answers, and those guys are people who have walked with me through life. They know me well. They know my strength. They know my weaknesses, and they're able to tell me, "Hey, watch out for this, or you're going to be really good at this. You need to improve here." And that's what I try to incorporate and stay in touch with those guys as much as I can. During the season, I'll call them because I just find there's great wealth and advantages in being able to call somebody who's not in your industry and asking them how he's led. And these are people who've led well. That's the reason why I reach out to them. And that's the reason why. And these are people who have the freedom and the liberty to speak into my life. So that's one. But I also do have basketball mentors who, surprisingly, I don't talk to a whole lot during the season.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting, and I'm actually glad you said that. I believe in that, and I believe in that for all industries. Find people outside of your space. I think sometimes they can provide a different level of clarity and perspective that's not like they don't have any skin in the game, And so it provides a different perspective. So I'm glad that you said it. See, we've gotten I'm hoping people are listening with their notepads on this one, right? Like, get your tablets out, folks. Get your notepads out because there's a lot of great gems.
Let me take mine out too. Let me take mine out.
There you go. See? There you go.
And who we listening to?
I would be in summer league. I would be fortunate enough to go when I was coaching university here, and I'd be fortunate enough to come summer league, and that's where I got an opportunity to meet Coach Mutombo, and I would just sit in the car and listen.
Nice.
Like he would say, "Oh, you're being quiet." I was in my head. I'm like, I'm just listening. I just keep talking, my man. Just keep going. I'm just listening to all these things and soaking up the knowledge. But that's Coach Mutombo. So, Coach.
Yes.
Mutombo, talk to us about the 905. Tell us about that transition from Raptor bench to taking the job at the 905, that process. What was it like? How do you, because some people say, well, and I always try to clarify things like it's not a step back. It's a growth step, right? Like it's about growth. And so talk about that for you.
Wow. Well, where do I start? First of all, I want to thank, Masai, Bobby, Nick Nurse, for this opportunity to do this, right? Because, Charles, there's nothing like leading a group of people by yourself. It's one thing to be part of a group and lead 2-3 players on a daily basis, but it's another one to cast the vision, execute it, help, fail, that sort of thing. And that, there's just no substitute for being thrown in that fire and refining your own leadership skills. So when this opportunity came about, I'm incredibly thankful because, I told one of my mentors is, listen, so let me tell you this, after our first game, man, Charles, I'm nervous. And we go there, all right. I'm like, are we even going to score? We go in, and we won. I think we won by 20 something. I'm like, all right, okay, all right. Second game.
This is easy.
This is easy. Second game, double overtime. And I'm sitting there, and the game plays things that, and getting through all these reps and this, they had the time wrong. And the referee, I dropped my play with 3 seconds left. The referee comes to me and said, Pat, it's not 3. There's 1 point. So you got to change your whole strategy. The assistant coaches are asking you who should be in the game, and the players asking you, "Hey, coach, am I in the corner? Where do I go up there and make the pass?" And you got all this million things going. And I remember thinking, man, I love this. In the midst of this chaos, I'm like, man, my blood is flowing, and I'm like, man, I'm built for this. I love this. Where have you been in my life? And I thought to myself, I was talking to my mentor, I said, wow, other than NBA head coaches, there's no assistant coach in the NBA who went through this tonight. This is something that nobody will ever take away from me. And this is what this opportunity has done for me, from training camps, practices, leading coaches, hiring coaches, having tough conversations, having players not happy with me not happy with players. Wife wanting to talk after the game we've lost when I just want to break down this film. You know, my kids giving me a scouting report as to why we lost. You know, that kind of stuff. It's you don't go through this as an assistant coach, and I love it. I'm thankful that I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Oh man, it's that adrenaline rush that like it's like probably that almost the same feeling as a player. I can't speak to. I can't speak on your behalf, but is it close?
You know, as a player, you only have to worry about yourself, perform well, do your part. You know, as a head coach, there's a lot of, like, we have a leadership group, we have our players, we have the staff that you're managing, and there's a lot of stuff. Then you have to talk to the media, and then you have all this stuff. It's like there's a lot that comes with it, and you just learn to be yourself. You learn to be honest and true. And so when I find out when you're honest and you're yourself, it's not hard work. But when you're trying to fake it, it's just, you know, then you. So no, but it's gratifying, Savannah. It's fun. It's hard at times, but my goodness, it's worth it.
Hey, you finished number 1 in the regular season, and that's like for first time head coach of the Raptors 905 this past season. Like that's nothing to overlook or not celebrate. So
good players. Good players.
We had good players. You say the players, but the players say you.
The
players say you, coach. Coach is like, they always talk about the culture and how close they became as a team. And they were like, this is more like a family. And you actually said in the locker room, I remember, like 1, 2, 3 family. Mm-hmm. And so how did you build that culture that did so well in such a short amount of time? There was only a month of season.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'll say this, Savannah. We had to get this guys one thing going in. I share with the staff, we got to be connected. So we went through a series of activities that were intentional, and we couldn't get together. So it was through Zoom, finding ways to get connected, finding ways to get guys to understand what the standard was going to be, understand what we wanted our culture to be. And that word culture sometimes bothers me because it's so broad and it's used. And I wanted to specify it for our group. Our culture is how we do things every day. Mm-hmm. So it was important for us. Once our guys understood how we did things every day, we wanted to run a value-based system. And you could have those values on the court and off the court. There was no difference. Respect, accountability, professionalism, and selflessness. You could see it when we played, and you could see it when we got off the bus. Mm-hmm. And those guys bought into it. And I think that's part of the reason we were able to do well. But I can never say this enough. We had Chad, Courtney. They did a great job getting us people that could really play, and that makes our job. They make us look good. I looked like I knew what I was doing a little bit, but it was the players.
You guys had such a talented roster, man. Oh my goodness, it was so good to see. Like Henry Ellenson, Alizé, who got signed later to the Brooklyn Nets, and just covering the team on my side of the end, on the media front. Like, it was so exciting just to watch this team thrive and how they developed and grew. Because also with the G League, there's a lots of turnover usually, but this team did not have that much turnover in terms of roster. So you really got to see the progression of how you guys really start to come together and string those wins together and everything. It was really great to see, honestly.
Absolutely. It was fun. It was fun to watch this young man grow, buy into what we were selling, and advance, add value to their careers.
Coach, what makes the 905 special? You've seen different organizations. You kind of been around. The league. What's different about the Raptors and the 905?
Oh, that's a good question. And I don't know if I can be totally objective, but I'll tell you this. They're good people. I think that to me, that's where it starts. It starts with good people. And because people ultimately they are on board are the reflection of the leadership. Who do they bring? I think they bring good people, and then those people are competent. And then the second thing is, I think our leadership does a great job putting resources to be good. You know, you got to be intentional about being good, and then you have smart enough people to be creative and not being afraid of doing things differently. You add all those elements together, I think it's a separator for our program, for our organization.
You just gave some business, some guy or a woman, some person who's struggling out there, the blueprint.
They better pay me too.
The blueprint.
I got mouths to feed. I got 4 kids.
Royalties. Let's go.
You just gave them the blueprint. So you're about to start year 2. What do you, I mean, the bubble was the bubble and it's like fast and furious. But what could you take away? What do you, I mean, I know you've had a chance to reflect. What comes forward with you in year 2? That you're like, you know what, I got to get this right, or we're going to continue doing this, or whatever it is. What's coming with you?
Oh man, Charles, you know, after the season, I did a lot of self-assessment. And then I got some feedback on things I could get better at. And then I'm excited about this season because it's a completely different platform now. You know, it's our own gym, playing in front of our fans, being able to go home after games. I haven't experienced that as a head coach yet. Having guys actually go home and then come back to us. Just these different elements, that I will experience for first time is exciting to me. As far as basketball, there's a few things I'm really excited about trying and seeing if it works.
That's the beauty, right? Of the head coaching spot.
And sometimes
you can do that. You're the scientist now.
It's the beauty when it works. Until you get that call, be like, hey, what are we doing?
It was a blip. It was a blip. I promise. It won't happen again until the next time.
You know what I'm saying? When you get asked, what are we watching? Exactly. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited about getting guys on the court, getting into our own gym, running our practices, and Charles, Savannah, seeing some people I've worked with for 2 years now, seeing them in person for the first time.
Right.
That's exciting, yeah.
Right.
Oh, amazing. Coach, what has been your highlight up until now? What's been the highlight of your coaching career? And then maybe even leading up to your coaching career?
It's a good question.
Thank you. I try my best. You've been saying that. That's the third good question I got from you.
I know. I'm keeping track. I haven't got one good question.
No,
what is going on?
I got to
Savannah and I compete, by the way.
No, you all ask very good questions.
Savannah and I are in competition.
Do I only get one highlight or do I get multiple? How many highlights do I get?
Okay. We'll give you an A highlight, which is number 1, and then the 2 following that you're like just behind number 1.
Okay. So I'll say the first one would be being hired in the NBA.
Yeah.
Getting coach in the NBA, best league in the world. There aren't that many spots. There aren't that many spots. And being in that group, in that select group, it's special. Sometimes we forget. You're in it for so many years and you forget. You forget how special and how fortunate you are to be in the circle, in the circuit. Second one has to be winning a title. When I'm this kid from the Congo, DRC, and I'm in the world stage hosting, a trophy. That is special. That's God's grace. God's grace. In my wildest dreams as a kid, in the streets of Kinshasa, I never imagined that I would be one day an NBA champ, holding a trophy and a ring.
That's amazing.
These are the two main ones. And obviously becoming a head coach is also special because I've always looked at everything through those lenses, and being able to do it and then realize, aha, that's why the head coaches I had then, because as assistants, you sit there, why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? I would do this. I would do that. And all of a sudden you sit in that chair, you're just like, huh.
Oh.
Now I get it. Now I get it. It gives you more empathy for the chair, and then it makes you even more humble to understand that leading is not easy, and that it's a privilege to lead, and that unless you take it serious, you will be exposed pretty badly.
Mm-hmm.
What is the biggest difference? We all have heard one seat to the left. It's a whole different, and you're saying it, you're alluding it. I understand this. What is the biggest difference you find? Obviously, the storm that you just described, which, if you've never been a head coach, you don't quite feel it the same.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like you're in this middle of this windstorm and you have to make sense of it all. You're not allowed to panic. You're not allowed to freak out. You can't be throwing out. You have to be as calm and focused on the one thing that matters in that moment. So for you, what's the biggest difference moving chairs?
I would say, well, that's a good question.
No, don't get That's 2 to 3.
I'm on a run. I'm going on a run.
You guys.
He's gonna make this a tie game. I can tell. He's already.
That's cool. Charles, as an assistant, I feel that you give a lot of suggestions. As the head coach, you make the final decision. And I like to listen to people. I like to empower people. But at the end of the day, I will make the decision, good or bad, if the responsibility is mine. And I'll say the privilege is mine. I think that's the biggest difference, because now you get to impact. You get to impact the situation based on the information you get either from your own preparation, from your assistants, or for what the game is suggesting, and you make the final decision. As assistant coaches, you don't get to do that. You give a suggestion and then you take your wife out to lunch or you go out on a date. As a head coach, now you gotta, and then when you make decisions, Charles, I find it's not just impacting me. Now I gotta think about, okay, what does this mean for the staff? What does this mean for the players? What does this mean for management? What does this mean for our public image? Is this, and so you have to be, at least from what I found, very intentional about my process, very intentional about how I approach things, and then trying the best I can to be forthcoming and seeing what the consequences of my decisions, because it's no longer just about me and my little tribe here. It's a lot of people depending on what the decisions I make.
What has been, go ahead.
I just want to follow up really quickly to ask you this.
A good question.
Thank you. I'm in the lead. I'm in the lead.
Don't give him that. Don't give him that.
I'm in the lead. Too late. It's already been spoken.
It's actually tied now. But
this question might put me over the edge. I want to know you got cameras on you. You got, everybody's watching, thousands of people, whatever it may be. Is there any point that you feel like, how do I frame this? Like, you're super conscious. Do you become over or hyper aware, or does that eventually, like for me, eventually I'm like, I might as well be in an empty gym. But is there a point where you're like, you feel that presence, you feel that everyone's watching you, you have to be careful about how you react to that call versus this call, or that shot, that terrible shot that you didn't want that player to take, but they take it and you got a choice to make. Like, do I put my hands on my head or do I just pretend that it's okay and clap it up? How do you manage that? And is that like a thing for you?
Well, correction. First of all, when you say 1,000 people, I think we have 3 people watching.
That's not true.
Lots of people are watching. 905's got 1 million fans.
Yeah, you got the whole
that's great. I love
905 region.
Yeah, I honestly, Charles, and to me, you prepare so much I'm a visual guy. Once the ball goes up, again, the biggest, another advice I was given when it comes to leadership, I got this one from Masai, actually. Be yourself. Be yourself. And to me, I can be really good at being myself. And that's being fiery when a player takes a bad shot. Oh, he's gonna know. There's no trying to. No, he's gonna know. And the players know. I'll tell you a quick story. In the bubble, something happens, and the guys, they're playing because we were big on being selfless, offensively, defensively, and our guys, we leading by a lot, and our guys just starting to, human nature creeps in, and we start taking bad shots, and we just start playing out of character. I call timeout, and I don't even talk to the assistants. Okay, so I go there, and the assistant, they can feel it, and nobody's saying a word to me. They know. Okay, so I give the guys, if I usually give them a moment to talk, I give them about half the time I usually give them. As I start walking towards them, Gary Payton looks at me and said, "Big fella, we know, we got it." And he waves me off. Well, to me, it's almost like my reaction was predictable because I've been consistent with our standard.
Right.
And they knew when they are out of character, they knew what's coming down. They knew what's going down. There's no, there's a camera, no. We had a deal. And you know what happens when you do your part, and you know what happens when you don't do your part. And accountability is part of our value system. And part of being accountable is me letting you know that that's not the deal. And so this is a long way of saying, man, when it comes to that stuff, just to me, it's the easiest way is just being myself. And obviously my wife warned me, hey, we're not doing the whole getting technicals and being out of control on the sidelines because we have 4 boys watching you. We have 4 black boys watching you there, and they need to learn self-control, how to deal with frustration, how to deal with a situation where you feel like it's not right or this and that. Well, model the behavior you want them to have. So that's the one thing that I constantly think about on the sidelines, because ultimately I'm constantly coaching. Even when I'm coaching, when I'm not coaching, when I'm coaching my team, I'm also coaching my boys because they're watching and they're watching my reaction. So now I can come and tell them, how do you handle frustration? And how do you handle a high situation? And that's my son.
Hey, on cue.
On cue.
Right on cue.
I was gonna say,
go ahead.
I like your wife already. When you guys come back to Paramount Fine Food Center, I'm gonna find her. I'm gonna sit right next to her. I'm gonna pick her mind and everything because I like her vibes just from how you talk about her.
Thank you. I'm blessed.
I it's kind of funny that you mentioned the Gary Payton story, because at this point he's like, oh, no, I know. I'm a discipline myself at this point, or whoever needs to take accountability in that situation. That's awesome. But I wanted to actually ask, like, what has been the hardest decision that you've had to make as a coach? A head coach, I should specify.
The hardest decision I've had to make as a head coach is letting go and having tough conversations with assistant coaches and let them know that I would not be retaining them. And people that I like, people that I admire, people that I respect. That was tough to do because I've been jobless and I know what it feels like looking for a job. And I know what it feels like not being retained. And I know what it feels like waiting for the new guy to decide your fate. And all of a sudden, I was that new guy who was deciding people's fate. I didn't enjoy that one.
Nah.
Yeah.
I hope you... Go ahead, Charles.
It's a necessary part of the game, and it's part of leadership.
Yeah.
You got to make those decisions. So
Yes.
that's all part of it.
Yeah.
I want to say it's still 4-3.
Whoa,
Savannah,
it's 3-3, actually. 3-3.
You guys.
I will also be I will also be, Savannah, while you're out there, I need some recipes. Okay, so make sure,
Pick her
give us,
mind.
right, give us some recipes.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question back to the coaching. I'm going to ask you, we've asked you, your some of your challenging times, what you're bringing forward. What are you most looking forward to? If there's one thing, because we know you're back in Canada, what's the one thing that you're most looking forward to? What are the, I guess, part B to that as the expectations for next season? I feel like there's some unfinished business as far as, and the bubble's a little different, but still there's some unfinished business. And the G League, like the team's going to look completely different, I'm sure, right? You'll retain some and the others will go. It'll be different. But how do you try to carry that over? Because it's kind of hard to have unfinished businesses if everyone else is gone. But how do you carry that over and what does that look like?
Well, to me, I can sit here and give you the cliche answers, or I can be real with you. Which one do you prefer?
Now we love cliche. I'm kidding. Always real, coach. Always real.
I'll be real with you, man. Winning. Win. Our players knew it going into last season. Our mantra was simple: just win. We didn't care about this, that, or the other thing. Just win. If it ain't about winning, we don't want it. It's that simple. And going into that mentality, I think the Raptors as a whole, we are about winning. Raptors 905, we are about winning. And our value system, the way we operate, the players we bring in is for that endeavor there. Everyone would develop players is so they can contribute to winning. And winning is there in everything we do, in the way we do things. It's got to be evident that that's what we're about. Because if it's not, we have ability now. Hey, we say we want to win. Winning is why we do this. Winning is why we leave our families, go into a bubble for I don't know how many weeks. That's why we do it. That's why we practice hard. That's why we stay up late breaking down film, is so we can win. We can win. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
How do you translate your experience with the Raptors and winning a championship there to the 905 and to players that have never been on an NBA roster, let alone seen an NBA playoff?
That's where the system and the way we do things carries you, right? So now when the newcomers come, they just see that, hey, this is how we operate. This is how we do things. This is how we talk to each other. This is how we practice. This is how we travel. It's not perfect. I'm not sitting here saying we're better than everybody else. I'm saying that we have a way that we believe in and that newcomers are presented with, and most embrace them, embrace our way. And we take that as the vehicle to take us into our ultimate purpose, which is winning and winning big.
I love that.
That is a beautiful thing. Coach, I want to be mindful of your time. So there's a lot. Again, I wish I had my note. I'm going to re-listen to this one for sure. Give two pieces of advice. One to young, you've given a ton of advice already, but what's one thing, you've given us so much, but what's one thing that you would give to young people? Or as Savannah would say, because that's still a great question from her, is like, what would you tell your younger self? What's that one thing that you know now that you could go back and share it with your younger self? And in doing that, you're sharing it with all the coaches listening and people trying to get in.
Man, I've received so many advices, and I'll tell you this one thing when it comes down to it is whatever you find, it's a two-part advice. Whatever you find to do, man, do your best. Do with all your heart, all your mind, all your understanding. Like, give it everything you have. If it's being a scout, if it's being a player development coach, if it's running the defense, running the offense, immerse yourself in your work. Learn, but give it everything you have. And to me, with that attitude, eventually you can't but get better. And you can't but separate yourself. The second one would be patient. Be patient. And that one actually I've heard from Masai a whole lot. Be patient. Be patient. Do your best. Do your best. Do it well. And then be patient. And good things will happen.
Okay, I don't know. I need to leave it on that inspirational note. Like that's a mic drop. And also, I can't believe how fast this time has flown. Like Charles, like I literally, I felt like I looked up at my time here, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be like, we're 15 minutes in. Like, whoa, we are basically a whole hour in. Like,
yeah, you guys are that good. You guys are that good.
No!
I appreciate you. Unbelievable, man. This is so much fun, man.
I appreciate you, Coach.
You're a 3-part episode.
Yeah, for real.
You're not a one and done. You're a 3-part episode.
You're too kind. If I'm a 3-part episode, man, your standard is low, brother.
Also, just for the record, I'm gonna put it out here right now that because Kissy stole my question, which he said was great, that I win. I win the great question battle. I'm gonna put that out there right now.
I did. I slipped up, didn't I?
I caught that.
I did slip up.
I caught that. Thank you so much, Coach. I can't wait for your season and covering you guys again. So I'm looking forward to it.
No, thank you. Thank you guys for having me. You had great questions in all seriousness. This is good because, you got to extract from me some very cool things, I think, and just being here and the laughter and the joy. I appreciate it. I don't take it for granted as I learn to value each moment. This has been fun, and I'm thankful for both of you and everybody else who helped, who contributed in making this happen. So thank you,
Coach. Good luck this season. I'll be seeing you, and we'll chat for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles.